Thank you for joining me for today's practice. My name is Paula. So today is a yin-inspired class to energise and restore the whole body. I've set up here a couple of blankets underneath on the mat, and I'm set up near the wall because we'll use the wall for a lot of today's practice. I've also got a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, then have a couple of firm cushions or pillows. Make sure you're nice and comfortable, and then let's make a start. We're going to start lying down on our back with the legs up the wall. So bringing your bottom as close to the wall as you can, and then swinging the legs up, and you might just need to shuffle yourself a little bit further forward. Feet can be just about hip distance apart, feet relaxed, arms a little bit away from the body, palms facing up, closing down the eyes. Starting to take a few deeper, fuller breaths. Just noticing just where you're at right now. Allowing whatever is here to be here. Knowing there's no right or wrong way to be. You might notice sensations coming up in the body, points of pressure with the torso and the backs of the arms and the back of the head, with the blankets and mat underneath you. Just allowing those points of pressure to become a little bit heavier. Allowing the lower belly to fall back in towards the spine, particularly on the exhale. If the mind feels really busy and wandering around a lot, just gently bring it back to following the breath whenever you need to. And in the next couple of moments, we're going to open up the legs into our wide-legged pose, supported by the wall. We're just going to open the legs out, just as wide as feels okay for you. And if you feel like you want to take it a little bit more active, just to begin with, pressing down through the backs of the thighs against the wall, toes flexed towards the face. Feeling free to go for that. If this feels too strong for you, if you want something a little bit less intense, then come into your Baddha. This is still a beautiful opening for the hips here. So taking a variation that feels like it serves you today, getting what you need. Feeling free to keep the eyes softly closed, or if you want them open, that's also fine. Just gently trying to press the sitting bones into the wall. And using the breath to meet any rising sensation in the body. Notice if there's any tension that's creeping into the face or the shoulders as we continue to stay here. And if you can just soften or let go anywhere, maybe in the jaw, the shoulders, the back of the neck. Just taking 5 more full breaths here. And if you want to release that active, you still need to be a little bit active here because we want to keep the legs aligned, but you can soften through the feet. Notice if any of that softening allows you to maybe open the legs out a little bit more. Keep pressing the sitting bones into the wall or heading in that direction. And then very carefully using your hands to help to bring the legs up long once again, and then feet onto the wall. Just shuffle yourself away from the wall a little bit, and you just want to set up so the knees are, they can be over the hips or just the knees slightly in front. It becomes a bit deeper if the knees are a bit further closer towards you, but feet are flat onto the wall. And then taking your figure 4 here, so placing the right ankle on top of that left thigh, arms just stay down by your side. Thinking about the back of the pelvis pressing down onto the mat or the blankets, and this right knee moving away from the right shoulder. Feeling free to close down the eyes. Finding the breath. Pressing into that left foot to press the back of the pelvis back down to the mat. At the same time, right knee moving away from the right shoulder. Opening up to whatever is here. You might be tracking how the sensations can shift and change as you continue to stay with the body and stay with the breath. Sometimes we meet a point of resistance and we just stay there for a little bit, staying with the breathing, and then you might notice a little bit of space that opens up. And if not, that's also okay. And on your next inhale, take the right leg up towards the ceiling, flexing the foot towards the face, and then let's point through the right foot and then flex the foot back towards the face, and then point and then flex, and then taking some circles with this right ankle in one direction and then changing the direction. Keeping the breathing easy. And then placing that right foot down, and let's swap it around. Placing that left ankle on top of the right thigh, thinking about pressing the left knee away from the left shoulder, back of the pelvis pressing down. And if you're finding that it is too strong, then you could shift your hips a little bit further away from the wall as well. Arms down, palms facing down. Either eyes, just soft gaze, or closing down the eyes. Finding the breath. Long, smooth, easy breaths. Grounding into that right foot against the wall to press the back of the pelvis down. Left knee moving away from the left shoulder. Release the jaw, soft shoulders. 3 more full breaths here. Perhaps noticing if there's any space. Press the back of the pelvis a little bit further down onto the mat. Keeping that left foot flexed. And then on the next inhale, let's extend that left leg up towards the ceiling, flexing the toes towards the face. Point through the toes and then flex and point and flex, and taking some circles with this left ankle and changing the direction. And then let's place that left foot down. So we're going to lift the hips up into a very supported variation of a shoulder stand. We're not going to hold it for very long. If you would prefer to just stay down with your hips down on the ground, then please feel free to do that. Otherwise, let's start to peel the spine off, pressing down. You might be able to walk your feet up a little bit higher, just finding that line, knees, hips to shoulders, looking down the front of the body, arms, palms facing down. Just 3 breaths. Taking one more inhale, and then as you exhale, rolling down 1 vertebra at a time, all the way down. And then let's roll over onto the left-hand side, using your hands, your right hand to come up to a seated position. Grabbing your pillows or your bolster, placing it towards the top end of where your blankets might be, and then sitting up for a soft or supported Dhanurasana or bow. You're going to bring the knees back, shin bones against the wall, and you can use your hands just to bring your bolster, your pillows a little bit closer towards you so they're meeting the lower ribs, and feeling free to use your hands if this feels more supported, or you could bring your forearms onto the bolster. Knees and feet about hip distance apart, closing down the eyes. Directing the breath into that lower back. Trying to release the muscles around the sacrum. There's little muscles that often want to contract around the lower back into the glutes, the upper glutes. And if there's any sharp discomfort becomes too much, then you can come out of it. But if there is just a tolerable amount of discomfort, then just staying here and just using your breath just to meet that rising sensation in the body. Notice what happens when you stay with the sensation. Our habitual patterns tend to be to distract and move away from discomfort. And here we get to explore in a very safe, supported way what it's like to stay with something that might feel a little bit uncomfortable. Using our breathing, using our awareness, and with kindness and curiosity. So 5 more full breaths. bringing the hands down onto the mat if they've been on your bolster, opening up your eyes and just gently moving the bolster out of the way, and then making your way down onto your belly. Just take your time. Rest one hand on top of the other and forehead rest down on the hands. Just allow everything to soften. Breathing into that lower back area. Give the legs a windscreen wipe from side to side just to relieve the lower back again. Just moving side to side a few times. And then the next time you come over to the right, just using your hands to come up to a seated position facing the wall. So we're going to take our forward fold here, and you can take a very soft variation with your caterpillar if you would like to use your bolster, but also invitation here to go for a little bit more of an active forward fold. Feet can just be slightly apart here, keeping them parallel. If you're going for your soft variation, then grab your bolster. If you would like to be a bit more active, just using your hands down by your hips to help lengthen out first. Take an inhale and then exhale to start to come forward over the legs, pressing the feet into the wall, holding the shins or the ankles. Try to bring the belly down towards the thighs. If you're going for that more active variation, you're just drawing the quadriceps up, pressing down through the backs of the legs, noticing if that creates any more space. Now, even if you've been using being quite active here, let's all try to soften for these last few breaths. Just letting everything go, letting the head go, upper body go. Last couple of breaths here. And then on the next inhale, let's come back up. Move your blankets a little bit further away from the wall so they're going to support the upper body now. And then have your bolster nearby. We're just going to take our twisted root twist. You might want to use your bolster, your cushions for this as well. Just lying down on the blankets, crossing the right leg over the left, and you could wrap the right foot under if you want. We're going to just shift the hips slightly over to the right, wrapping the foot and then dropping the legs over to the right. If you want to use a more supported variation here, we're going to bring the bolster cushions underneath the legs and then open that right arm out to the side. And eyes can look straight ahead or looking slightly to the right, your choice. Finding the breath. Just thinking about that right hip, just moving away from the right shoulder. Just noticing if there's anything you can let go of here. Last breath here. And then on the next inhale, just uncrossing the legs, bring them back to center. Move your bolster over to the other side if you want to use the bolster or the pillow. Crossing the left leg over, hips slightly over to the left, and maybe wrapping that left foot behind, dropping the knees over to the right and supporting them with your bolster, opening up that left arm out to the side, and eyes can be straight up, closing them down, or head slightly towards the left. Just allowing that left shoulder blade to relax down towards the mat. Lightly scanning the body, noticing if there's any little pockets of space that open up. If you've noticed you've drifted off to thinking, gently bringing yourself back to your breathing. Following the breath in and out through the nose. And then on the next inhale, let's bring the head back to center, uncross the legs, setting up the bolster underneath the knees to come into your Shavasana. Make sure the feet aren't touching the wall. Make yourself warm enough. If you need to put anything else on, then feel free to go for that. Arms a little bit away from the body, palms facing up. Allowing the eyes to close completely. With each exhale, allowing the body to get a little bit heavier and a little bit softer. Completely surrendering the weight of the body and feeling supported by the ground underneath you. Resting here for the next few minutes. And please feel free to stay resting here for as long as you need to. And if you are staying, resting here, then remember to pause the video so it doesn't roll into the next one. Thank you so much for joining me for today's practice. Namaste.